What'd you say? You say you want Rob to fight back? You want him to do something? Yeah, me too. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Good morning, everyone. This is not the show where we just complain about what our favorite teams do or don't do. This is actually the TSA live hoop show featuring me, your boy JR. I say good morning because wherever you're watching from, it is 7:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time right here from sunny San Diego. Thank you again for tuning in this Sunday. We took a week off. Let all the dust settle from everything that's happening from NBA to Olympic qualifying to the WNBA and everything in between. So that way we can get some stuff to recap to you, the watchers. Thank you for tuning in. The TSA Hoop Show is brought to you by the Sports Affiliation. And now we are also on Drafters. So we will post a link later. If you are trying to find your great sports bets, please go to the Drafters app where you can bet on your favorite teams, your favorite players, and if you add the code TSA bets, you can get a free match deposit up to $100. Again, good morning. Good morning. Get your coffee, get in your seats, and let's get ready. It is the TSA Hoop Show. And let's start off with this. Yeah, you just heard me complain about 10 seconds ago about something about free agency. We are going to be getting into that today. We're going to be talking about the last bit of Olympic qualifying basketball for the men's side is wrapping up today as we speak. Four more spots are open for the Olympics, which kick off July 27th, which is later this month. And the final four qualifying teams are going to be found across 4 games. So we'll be talking about those a little bit later. We're also going to be talking a little bit about free agency, actually a lot of it, because that is the hot topic right now is what are other teams doing? Thou shalt covet thy brother's team. And the WNBA, everything that has come forth so far as that, we're going to be getting into a little bit of Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, MVP talk, etc., etc. So without further ado, let's get started in here. If you are either on your third cup of coffee or on your 17th replay of Not Like Us and you need a break, thank you for tuning in today. So right now it is again at 7:34 in the morning, and free agency has cooked a little bit. It hasn't been that exciting. One of the big things that has been discussed about free agency and the reason why some of your favorite teams aren't making these big splashy moves, throwing a lot of money out there, is the term the second apron, which is essentially a way for the NBA to once again try to mitigate how teams will be able to spend their money by imposing heavy taxes and basically depreciating the value of future draft picks for them if they are spending too much on payroll as far as their players for their team. So you basically have 3 levels for this. You have teams that don't spend a lot of money. You have the first apron where teams are spending money, but they get a couple of tax hits, but it doesn't really affect their ability to go out and have room to spend more money, because then what happens is they reach the cap, which is the second apron. And that's where teams get hit with heavy taxes and depreciation in their future draft picks, which both things are detrimental. And the biggest thing is that it limits it then, like, cuts off teams' ability to spend what they think they have extra money and extra room for. So I mentioned that because the news just hit that LeBron officially signed a not max deal for Los Angeles Lakers to take less money to be able to stay under that second apron. Doesn't really mean much as far as teams' abilities to sign other players because the amount was about $3 million. But it does leave the Lakers a little bit of wiggle room as far as what affects their future draft picks. And I mentioned that because we're going to talk about that in a little bit as far as their free agents are concerned. So we had some big moves outside of the Lakers, which have been none. We've had Golden State Warriors have made a couple of splashes and hit the free agency market. Sent free agent and Klay Thompson into free agency, and he's gone over to Dallas. PG-13 and Philly have decided to connect, and now PG's on the max over in Philly. They also spent a little bit more money with Caleb Martin and DeRozan, who, again, we mentioned Not Like Us with Kendrick Lamar. If you haven't seen the video, go watch it. He spent some time in LA shooting that video, and then no LA team picked him up. He's actually going to Sacramento. So those are the big free agency moves, and we're going to dig into that a little bit. As far as the WNBA is concerned, we have the All-Star game set, and we could talk about a little bit of snubs. We're going to talk about the format a little bit. It's going to be Team WNBA versus Team USA. We're going to recap that a little bit for you. We did have a questionnaire a poll up on X about who you guys think is going to take home the game this year as far as the All-Star game. And so we're going to get a little bit to that. And again, Olympic qualifiers are underway, so we're going to dissect the four games that are being played today. All right, so as far as Olympics are concerned, boy, saying all that 6 times fast. And good morning, JC. Yes, Olympics are going to be wild. Hey, so appreciate you guys continuing to tune in today. So Olympics today, four games that are being played today for the final qualifying spots. We have Greece, who beats Slovenia in their semifinal game versus Croatia, playing at it's 2100 East Standard Time. I don't know what that means local time, but that's going to be one of the later games today. It's going to be played in Greece, so Greece being the home team. Yeah, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who has skipped actually a couple of these qualifying games in order for them to get to this final, has been sort of interesting. He hasn't been as productive on the offensive end, hasn't had to be because Greece has essentially pulled a Boston and sort of walked all the way through into the finals. So it looks like they may be the strongest team out of the entire group, inside of the pool, that's going to be trying to qualify for the Olympics. Might be the healthiest team too. Talk about that in a little bit too. Brazil versus Latvia. And which is amazing because it's not often that we get a Brazilian team in the Olympics. You get a lot of Brazil in CONCACAF, but you don't get them in or in FIBA, but you don't get them being able to get this far and possibly make the Olympics. I'm rooting for them. Personal affiliation because my wife's Brazilian, my daughter's Brazilian, so personal affinity for them. So go Team Brazil. Also, we have Lithuania versus Puerto Rico, which Puerto Rico has some on again, off again players that come in and out from the NBA, and in Lithuania, which is another like mecca of basketball. If you remember, there's a period between 2004 and 2018 where a lot of players were playing in the leagues over there. So definitely a very strong basketball team presence there. And then the last qualifying game is the Bahamas versus Spain. Spain, which always features some great talent. They have definitely medaled in the Olympics, so they're a strong candidate to qualify and to possibly compete in these Olympics. So those are the four games that will be coming in. And again, the Bahamas versus Spain is being hosted by Spain. Lithuania versus Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico being the home team as being in San Juan. Latvia versus Brazil is in Latvia. So all the home teams really making the finals, which is sort of surprising, sort of not surprising. Limits travel allows for a lot stronger presence, but it's just crazy right now that you can see that you will have a little bit of NBA presence, but not a lot. In fact, I believe if you one of the earlier games from, I believe it wasn't the Bahamas, it was another. I believe it was Ivory Coast or something like that. There's a coach, there's a college coach that was playing as a player on one of the games. So that's actually kind of amazing how you can be. This is a moment for amateurs to shine, and this is where a lot of the NBA tries to extend its reach because you know throughout the middle of the year they're looking for some help, and they'll probably pick up a guy or two to keep an eye on them on the international stage. And this is the way to do it. If you haven't gotten on a team the regular way by getting drafted, haven't gone through the G League, then this is it. So shout out to these guys. Hopefully we get some great play. And we got some questions here. We're gonna go ahead and address them right now, just because it's a live show. Who else can the Lakers attract? Can I speak Chinese? No, absolutely not. But a great question is of trying to figure out who the Lakers can attract. We're actually gonna get into that in the free agency talk in a little bit. JC asks, is JJ Redick coming off the bench this year for the Lakers this year? JC always a character. I think that if JJ Redick tried to come off the bench, he might end up like Chris Finch this year, getting hit with that broken leg. So I think we might want to save our coach and keep him as a coach instead of a player, JC. But we'll see. Actually, yeah, we'll get into some more Lakers stuff in a little bit. Don't worry. Let's but just real quick, as far as the Olympics are concerned, I got some questions for you guys out there. So we just had probably considered one of the biggest games as far as star talent is concerned. Luka and Slovenia, who's just coming off of losing in the NBA Finals, who has been hobbled with lower leg injury, managed to get Slovenia to the semifinals in their group, but didn't manage to make it past Giannis Antetokounmpo and Team Greece. That was the biggest one. So now we have no Luka here. So we're gonna have Giannis. We're gonna have one Urman Gomez, I believe I probably butchered his name just now. If you don't know who this guy is, if you remember the recent movie with Adam Sandler, Anthony Edwards, and Juan Urman Gomez, that was him playing as a guy trying to qualify to get into the NBA. So I always think of him as a basketball character instead of actual basketball player, but that's probably the level of basketball talent that's coming out of the qualifiers for right now. And I wonder which teams have the best shot to qualify. I think it's Greece. Greece is going to be the top one out of there. I think out of those four games that we mentioned earlier, I'm picking Greece in their game. Of course, like I said, I'm picking Brazil, but it's probably going to be Latvia. Out of Lithuania, Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico is always a very strong team defensively, but Lithuania has always got those great 3-point shooters, and I'm thinking that Lithuania is going to come out of that. Bahamas and Spain. Spain should be the proverbial favorite, just because of, again, it's just the talent pool in Spain continues to be pursued. Whatever they're doing, whether it's coaching or just continuing to find talent of the right people to be pulled from other places to qualify as a resident someone that could live in Spain and qualify to play on the team. They keep finding people from everywhere to be able to build this team up, and they are every couple of years just circulating talent. So I think Spain is going to be another one to qualify. Out of those four, I think the ones to stand the strongest out of all those is going to be Greece. But again, we're talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo, who has been on again, off again, has had a longer off season than a lot of the other players on these respective teams, as far as going from the NBA to the Olympics. But there's still a health issue for him individually as a player. Greece, yes, has actually played a couple games without him and performed very strongly, won a couple of games by double digits, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be able to go far, because we got to talk about the field for a second, okay? So the field right now, as it's set for already qualified teams, are France, USA, Canada, Australia, South Sudan, Japan, Serbia, and Germany. France, USA, Canada, Australia, Germany, Serbia. That is about 40% of the NBA's top talent right there. Team USA is 100% NBA players. Team Canada is about 50%. France, 50%. Australia's got about 2 or 3 players on there, and Germany's pretty strong. In fact, let's just go over the list right now and see who's on these teams. Okay, because the biggest one, of course, is outside of the United States is France. Let's see here. Let's get there. Okay, so we know that Rudy Gobert is on their team. We know Victor Wembanyama is on their team. So those are the top 2 defensive talents that everyone's on the lookout for. Possibly the one team that everyone's looking to take down, Team USA. Let's see here. Okay, Nick Batum, who there's a video going around. Nick Batum choking out who was it? It just happened not too long ago. We'll have to go back to that later. But there's this video of Nick Batum just trying to choke someone out, and that's absolutely crazy. They just played a qualifying match, and why can I not find our top 2 highlights are top 2 players on the team, or Victor Wembanyama and Rudy Gobert. We'll have to get back to who's actually on the team, but that's 2 of the 12 players that are on Team France. Pretty strong. Of course, Canada, we all know that SGA is going to be on the team. The question then becomes, are we still going to see the same team, the same squad that won gold at FIBA, which was featuring Kelly Olynyk, which was featuring Luguentz Dort, which was featuring what's his name? Formerly on the Knicks. Name is man, I'm telling you, the names this morning, this coffee ain't hidden, but you know what? That is okay. But we know that SGA, we know that basically 90% of Canada are NBA players right now, which is absolutely, oh yeah. So we got, that's right, Dylan Brooks and RJ Barrett also on the team. So then the question becomes, how deep is that team going to go? And is Jamal Murray going to be healthy enough to qualify for that team? His health how affected the Denver Nuggets this year. And so if he's going to be available, is he going to be available 100% for Team Canada to make this push throughout the Olympics? Team Australia, Joe Ingles, Australia. Hey, shout out to any parents out there that have their kids watch Bluey, because we love it. And that's the first thing I could think of, them and the Kiwis. Patty Mills, of course, again, Matt Dellavedova. So those are some of the older representatives of of Team Australia. Matisse Tybel, which is interesting. I remember him playing on Team France before. So interesting how he's got that qualification to go play for Australia, but it's gonna be nice. Josh Giddey, who has been on again, off again as far as OKC presence, is going to be on there. Dante Exum, who didn't really show much in the playoffs for the Dallas Mavericks, but he's going to be on Team Australia. And Jock Londale, who you guys may not have seen much throughout the season, but he has been a pretty good presence on the Houston Rockets defensively. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play in this field. And then let's just talk about Germany real quick, because we all know that the team's going to be led again by Dennis Schroeder. They had a great coming out and played very well in the FIBAs this past season. So we're going to see if that team is going to be re-upped as far as from that season to this season. See if they can carry some of that experience over into the Olympics. Play some pretty strong basketball. See how they perform. Starting in the end of this month. All right, well, that's it for Olympic basketball. And good morning, Wendy. I know you guys are doing the whole fantasy football Scott Fish Bowl thing in your respective areas and drafting right now. So I hope you guys are having fun with that. The picture circulating for the sports affiliation and the representatives that are part of Scott Fish Bowl. So if you guys are doing that or part of that, make sure to shout that out in the chats. Make sure to follow us at the Sports Affiliation on X and go to thesportsaffiliation.com, our website, where we'll be posting pictures for this video, talking more about basketball later on. If you guys are just tuning in, again, this is the Sports Affiliation's TSA Hoops show. We are now moving on from Olympic talk. We're moving on to free agency, the fallout, everything that is, everything that was, and the things that hopefully will be. Currently, the most latest thing that happened was DeMar DeRozan, who has been shopped around, has been said that he's going to be out from Chicago Bulls, has been officially put up on the block for a sign and trade to the Sacramento Kings, which hurts because he is also one of the plethora of NBA talents, which has been listed for a target for the Lakers. So just remember, anyone that's a target for LeBron James and the Lakers, just remember that player is going to go elsewhere. Just remember that right now. It's been happening for the past 2 seasons, so we're just going to go ahead and address that right now. DeMar DeRozan is going to be on a 3-year deal with Sacramento, which ends up sitting Harrison Barnes, who has been a very serviceable forward for the Sacramento, helping them sort of gel, giving that veteran leadership. He came from a championship team, the Golden State Warriors, push us going over to what most consider the Bay enemy to Sacramento Kings, was there for about 6 seasons, and now he's going to be traded to Chicago Bulls along with some draft picks. It's a question of whether Barnes will stay in Chicago or if he's going to try and find and give his services somewhere else. He's still definitely great. So shout out to Harrison Barnes, who also did well with Dallas before that. So we'll see what he does with that. DeRozan is going to be coming off of somewhat of a pretty strong season for Chicago, although Chicago had that very wavy up and down season. We'll see what he does with Sacramento, who's looking to bounce back. They were high the year before, did pretty well, got kind of deep in the playoffs, and then just didn't perform well towards the end. They didn't get much out of their stars. We'll see if DeRozan can bring his veteran leadership to help him do that. Then they had an off year. So we'll see what Coach Brown does with DeRozan this following year. Also, Buddy Hield, another signing to Golden State Warriors, comes on the heels of Golden State not only shipping off Clay to Dallas, but acquiring other lesser talents so that way they could try to save some money essentially and rebuild their program so they could try to push out some of their young stars. It's going to be interesting to see what Buddy Hield does as far as being available and being consistent in Golden State. Buddy Hield was one of the most prolific three-point shooters in the NBA this past season, second only to Steph Curry. So putting two three-point shooters again together, has Golden State put together a new set of Splash Brothers? We don't know. We'll wait and see. But Kerr's going to have to learn how to utilize Buddy Hield while also trying to back up his point where he's going to try to cultivate some of that younger talent, which we saw sort of build up in last season in Golden State, specifically with Brandon Podziemski and Moses Moody. I mean, some of these guys have not seen daylight as far as their younger talent. So which direction will Kerr go this season? The biggest signing, I think it's the second biggest because of how it's going to affect the team. But the biggest signing so far this season for the free agency has been Paul George. PG-13 has gone over to Philadelphia 76ers. With them offloading Tobias Harris, going over to Washington, Paul George is now going to officially be a Philadelphia 76er, which is going to be very interesting considering he used to play heavy against them early in his career when he was in Indiana. How he's going to help Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid on that team is yet to be seen, considering that Embiid's getting that Olympic experience, and hopefully the health of Embiid and the ability of Paul George will help push Philly to be strong throughout the season, which is never a question. The question then becomes, if Philly qualifies for the NBA playoffs, will Paul George, will Joel Embiid have enough in the tank? Will they be healthy enough to push Philly finally to get them to an NBA Eastern Conference Finals or in the NBA Finals? They haven't reached that yet as far as the time that Joel Embiid has been there. They've trusted the process, and it's getting closer to that time for Joel Embiid to either start to be on the decline or eventually look at blowing up that team. So we'll see how that works out. They also picked up Caleb Martin, who declined a bigger offer to stay in Miami in order to, I guess, be part of a contender. It's going to be interesting to see what Philly does with Caleb Martin. Philly was essentially missing three-point shooting, some spot-up stuff, which is what Caleb Martin is actually better known for. So will Philly be able to use that? Will Caleb Martin actually not go cold and be able to help Philly? It's a wait and see. Again, even though those are some big moves, it's still only 2 weeks in the free agency. And so we still got a lot of time to see how Philly's going to switch around things on its roster in order to help out Tyrese Maxey, basically, on that backcourt. And then last but not least, Klay Thompson to the Dallas Mavericks. We just mentioned Dallas Mavericks hit the NBA Finals and needed some 3-and-D help in that finals game, and they didn't get it. So it's gonna be a big question as to whether we're gonna be able to whether we're gonna see how Klay affects Dallas and their ability to get back to the finals and hopefully eventually win for Luka. FF's. Yeah, good morning. Everyone say good morning. This is my daughter, Quinn, who likes to join us on these live shows here. Anything can happen here on the TSA Hoop Show. And actually, speaking of little girls, good morning. We also need to talk about a little bit about the WNBA because we also have women's Olympics qualifying. We also have the All-Star game coming up. So we're going to jump over to that in just a second. But before we do, let's see if we got anything in the chats here. Yeah, Wendy says good morning. JC says good morning. Yeah, JC says France is going to be strong. We definitely addressed that. FF7's draft starts today, so thanks for the plug, JC. If you don't know what FF7s are, go follow at JC Money Design on X. Give him send him a DM, ask him about it. We're actually promoting that as well on the sports affiliation. So yes, and that's coffee. And yeah, that's about it. So let's move on a little bit here. So one of the some of the big questions that we keep getting that I keep getting is what's up with the Lakers? And you heard me sort of mention that before the show started, that out of all the free agency moves that are done, that have been completed, the one thing that hasn't been done is the Lakers landing any sort of big fish, which should be par for the course now. One of the things that was expected after hiring JJ Redick and getting rid of Darvin Ham was that the Lakers would finally have some semblance of a team that wants to compete for a championship, and so that they would be able to make room and make moves to get a big star. However, that has not been the case. Every single star that I've mentioned so far has been a target of LeBron James, of Rob Pelinka, and the Los Angeles Lakers, and they have gone somewhere else. Reasons being, for example, Isaiah Hartenstein. Anthony Davis has asked for a true five to play alongside him, so that way he can go back to play in the four, not have to worry about defending the bait and having to play strong offensively on the inside. However, Hartenstein went to OKC, so that was a miss there. Talked about trying to acquire DeMar DeRozan. Talked about it. Should they, shouldn't they? Missed on him. Now the Lakers are talking about trying to target Jeremy Grant, Portland Trailblazers, or possibly bringing Kyle Kuzma back from Washington and bringing him over, possibly in some sort of signing trade over back to Los Angeles. Yes, it's a tiger. Yes. The question then becomes, what moves are left with that little bit of cap space, dodging the apron, et cetera, et cetera? The second, my answer for you right now is I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. It's going to be interesting how wearing this hat around. I keep getting questions about things like that. And LeBron James Jr., we're going to address that as the time comes up. There's still a lot of basketball to be played. Again, Summer League started yesterday. So you're getting to see some of this young talent start to get their legs under them, their NBA hoops legs under them, to see what kind of talent is actually out there. Trades are still available, and the deadline is very, very, very far away. Of course, you kind of want to try to get your team settled now, but you never know. Lakers could just be saying they want to run it back and see who's available to see what they may need later on. Another big question. So how did that? A big question that I've gotten is do you look at Los Angeles Clippers as a big failure? Another big failure as far as the use of their star talent and their ability to get a championship out of it, out of their time of essentially, thank you, baby, renting their time at Staples Center. They have produced one Western Conference Finals appearance and 0 championships, which is absolutely amazing considering all the star talent that they've acquired. And I'll put this question out to you. I can answer it myself, but it may sound slanted considering I'm a Lakers fan. Mm-hmm. Quinn, I got a question for you. Do you consider the Clippers failure to re-sign Paul George a failure? We'll let her think on that. Do you guys think that the Clippers essentially failed? Do you think that now with their retooling and trying to get the, I don't want to say lesser talent, but they're surrounding Kawhi Leonard and James Harden now with other serviceable players, but it's not Paul George. So did they essentially fail in their experiment to win a championship. Russell Westbrook, they tried that experiment for a year, just like the Lakers did, for 2 years actually. And now Russell Westbrook is going over to Denver to help them possibly win a championship, which will be very interesting. That's something to chew on. Let's talk about real quick Buddy Hield to Golden State and then Klay to Dallas. The Klay to Dallas part is actually a bigger part for me than Buddy Hield to Golden State because Klay has an opportunity to re-up and rekindle the career that he's had. He had that major injury with his ACL and hasn't exactly played since. He's been turned into a proverbial meme in NBA X/Twitter. He's essentially he's essentially he needs a bounce back physically to show that he is still serviceable and a great player. He doesn't have the same amount of defense, same type of defense, same tenacity that he had over at Golden State, but he's still able to defend on the perimeter. He's still able to chase down a couple blocks. He's still able to throw it down. He's still able to shoot the three ball. This is still the guy who's got the most three-pointers in the game. He's got the most points in a quarter. He's still that guy. And although he may be spotty, he's still a much better use to Dallas than he would be to Golden State, who just can't figure out exactly what type of team they're going to be going forward. And I say that because the Hield to Golden State, and I mentioned this a little bit while ago, what is Kerr going to do with Hield? Last two teams that Buddy Hield was on, Buddy Hield went from a lot of playing, a decent amount of playing time to, for a little bit of time, a lot of playing time to none. Had to go, it went through two highly talented NBA coaches on Indiana and Philadelphia, saw squat. So now the question then becomes, how is Kerr going to use him? I mean, you acquire this talent. Hield is still a decent three-point shooter. Hield can still defend, and he can still be a good backup guard. What are you going to do with him, Steve Kerr? So all my eyes are going to be on him for that this year. And then the last question, of course, as we get out of here for about free agency talk, which teams need to do something? And I'm wearing them. This is the first team right here that needs to do something. There's no two ways about it. Lakers need to find a serviceable guard that can back up or be a replacement for D'Angelo Russell, because that's always been talked about. D'Angelo Russell has had moments where he has had high amounts of turnovers, and that's been one of the things that the Lakers had actual depth on during their championship runs, is they had a backup at the point guard position in case something fell apart with the starting guard. The other thing is that the Lakers actually had and traded away or let walk from the championship run were serviceable guys that could play the five. Those are the things that the Lakers need right now. As far as what talent is out there and available, it's a big question mark. We can put up the list later when we go back into our draft, post-draft, and free agency talk on X. You make sure to check us out there. We'll go ahead and put that up in the link put that up in the chat right now. Let's go ahead and get that copied and add it to here, so that way you guys can follow us along there as well. And so yes, and you can go ahead and click there, and you can also make sure to follow and add me and turn on the notifications on X, so that way when I'm posting something about TSA hoops or NBA, you guys get it through us, and you can ask us direct questions. You can DM us. Also follow the sports at the sports affiliation to make sure that you guys are getting your updates. So we'll be talking about all that there in the fallout. If anything it does happen with the Lakers, that's actually super important. Other than anything other than LeBron James, which is not important right now. Anything other than what's happening with LeBron James, stuff that's not important. Unless LeBron James gets traded, we'll probably update you on the very important stuff. We won't waste time on anything else. We don't want to waste your time with anything lesser than that. If AD sneezes and trips, oh well, that's more of an Olympics thing, so we'll move on from there. Okay. So moving on, last bit of our show today. WNBA is at their halfway point. They're moving strong. They've had their Commissioner's Cup already. We've crowned champions for that. We got the red hot New York Liberty again, who's coming out strong. They're a lot like the Boston Celtics. I'm just gonna say that right now, as far as the team to compare them to. They have a lot. They have a big three in Ionescu, Stewie, and I just lost my third girl's name. It's not Brianna. I'll get back to that in just a second. Anyway, the Liberty are definitely strong, all the way around offensively, still killing it. They are one of the leaders in the WNBA right now, and it looks like they're going to be back for another finals run this season. But they're not, unfortunately, the biggest story right now. The biggest story is still of this free agency class and what all of these rookies are doing, from Rakea Jackson, I just want to make sure I'm saying that right, to Angel Reese, to Caitlin Clark. Again, it's a very strong, talented class right now. And one of the big things that's coming up out of all of these games is the question of who's going to be Rookie of the Year. And from the social media side, it's a two-person race between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. You have the Indiana Fever, who just came off of a huge come-from-behind victory against the New York Liberty, behind a first-ever triple-double by Caitlin Clark, who has been absolutely killing it in all offensive statistical categories this season. And then on the other side, you have Angel Reese, who has been a double-double machine, set the double-double mark for rookies this year, has been named Player of the Month, has now been added to, and both Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese have been made All-Stars. Chicago Sky statistically are leading the Indiana Fever as far as the playoff run is concerned, and those two are in Rookie of the Year talks right now. Not MVP, because I mean we got a whole other thing for that. So we're gonna put a poll out there. I just want to get your guys' take on there. Who you think the MVP is? JC says Caitlin out here breaking records already. First ever rookie to hit a triple double. Exactly. Yes, exactly. And it's amazing. All the other nonsense talk outside of what's going on with Caitlin, Angel Reese, and every other rookie in this class. How about the fact that we're talking about the WNBA right now strong, okay? That it is on the tips of our tongues, that we're seeing more jerseys fly off the shelf. We're seeing a lot more arenas being packed out, that the Las Vegas Aces officially sold out all of their tickets for the season. Mind-blowing. They actually had to expand arenas for other teams. When other teams come to visit them, specifically more the Fever, they had to change venues in order to get more tickets, because the popularity of these teams are increasing steadily. We have Asia Wilson of the Las Vegas Aces, who is the front runner for the MVP right now. And if you guys don't know who any of these players are, you live under a rock. I'm sorry. That's just all there is to it. You need to go find out who Asia Wilson is. She has been an absolute offensive monster. She's giving comps of Shaquille O'Neal right now. Shaquille O'Neal meets LeBron James, just absolutely dominating teams this year. Some of those teams in her presence have not led to wins. Their team is reeling off of a couple of injuries in the Las Vegas Aces, but this is a two-time WNBA champion. I almost said NBA, and the Lakers could probably use Asia at the five right now, the way that she's been killing it out there. But you guys need to tune in. You need to find out what this MVP talk is all about. You need to find out what this Rookie of the Year talk is all about, because again, these players are here to stay. It's especially big as far as the WNBA is concerned, because what you see are players that have gotten drafted this year, players that have gotten drafted last year, and players that have been on there 2-3 seasons prior to that have been cut from these teams because there's not enough space. They're trying to maintain youth. They're trying to maintain health. A lot of other things go on. And some of these players just get cut off. They don't all have these long guaranteed contracts like they do in the NBA, where you get some scrub to sign on for 4 years and $32 million. Just saying. Tune into the WNBA. Key injuries. One of the most recent noted injuries is to Nafisa Collier, who was also in her right was on a tear for WNBA MVP. She is going to be sidelined with the foot injury. Still has not been updated as of yet. So big prayers up to Nafisa, who's also a member of our Olympic basketball team. So we'll see if that's going to affect her ability to go then. Again, the first games for USA don't start until the 28th, I believe, for women's basketball. So we'll see how that affects them there. We talked a couple episodes before about how injury to Cameron Brink of the Los Angeles Sparks affected the 3-on-3 set. We definitely got to take a look at that. And again, you guys make sure to tune in every Sunday. We're back on our schedule for now until we switch it up, because we got Olympics coming up. We got all kinds of crazy stuff coming up. We got all the good preseason stuff for NBA coming up, going on right now, NBA Summer League. We still got free agency going on, so make sure that you guys stay tuned here. You keep watch. You make sure to add us. You follow this channel at the Sports Affiliation and TSA Hoops. You make sure to hit that notification button. You subscribe, okay? You make sure to do all those good things, because we do not want you to miss anything here. Speaking of things that you may miss, we're bringing back Off the Backboard one way or another. We're going to be giving you small clips, small snippets. We're going to give you little morsels of that absolutely great monster of a show hosted by our boy Rico's Modern World. We're going to be plugging that in here soon. Live watch parties. Again, we love hoops here. We love sports here at the Sports Affiliation. We're talking about possibly bringing in watch parties. But if you guys don't tune in here, you won't get the notifications. If you guys don't add us, you guys don't subscribe, you don't check in with us, you're gonna miss some great events. Our boy JC, who was out there throwing them things, slaying them things back, Modelo Mondays, and supporting his Minnesota Timberwolves during the NBA playoffs. It was an absolute vibe. You guys needed to be there. You guys need to be there for these upcoming events too. We're gonna be having some live watch parties as well. And last but not least, here at the Sports Affiliation, we love throwing up talks about fantasy. We love talking about daily fantasy sports. We also love talking about sports betting. We put the plug at the beginning of the show. We got the plugs here at the end of the show. We have some stuff coming up for you. One thing you're going to see a graphic is we're coming up with a whole new contest for you guys, the watchers, to be able to get some swag, possibly some cash, in a betting show. We're going to start throwing it out there over the next couple of shows. We're going to see how you guys feel. We're going to start taking in some entrants. It's going to be very exciting. That's all I can say about things that are coming up for the Sports Affiliation here soon. But again, I know we're cutting it short today, but it's going to be a long day for all of us. Just to recap here, we hit the Olympics, we hit WNBA, we hit free agency talk. We're keeping it live here. We're not going to update you free agency here, okay, on the comments on this show. You need to be following us on X. You need to go to thesportsaffiliation.com. You need to go to our free agency tracker. You need to DM us directly about our thoughts. You need to hit us up on the Discord. You know what I'm saying? Because those are the places where you guys can get your name known. You can get yourself heard. You can get your questions answered. Everything from fantasy to reality as far as hoops are concerned. That's all for me today. If you guys don't have any more questions out there, thank you again for tuning in. It's your boy JR, rocking the tag spray paint Lakers hat today. Gotta go out there and represent sunny San Diego. We're out there early, but I hope you guys are having fun today. Got your coffee and mimosas. Make sure to tune in next weekend, Sunday, same bat time, same bat channel. And also, if you think you got something to say, you want to say live on the air, hit me up, DM me. We can work something out. You know where to find me. Love you all. This has been the TSA Hoop Show. I'll see you all next week. Peace.